Hi, welcome to Maree. Today I've got a fluffy triple layered chocolate spelt cake with a little bit of frosting, and I'm going to decorate it with maybe Maltesers or grated chocolate. Anyway, if you'd like to see how I make my triple layered chocolate spelt cake, perfect for a celebration or a birthday party, come with me and let's see. So I've got my recipe on standby, and step one, we need to pop our oven on 170 degrees C. That's 325 Fahrenheit or gas mark 3. So I'll turn that on. So then that's all ready to go. And I'm going to do a triple layered cake. So I've prepared my little 20 centimetre cake tins with greased them with butter and put baking paper just at the bottom. So I've got 3 of those ready to go for later. And in our stand mixer, I'm going to use my paddle attachment, and I've got some pre-softened butter. So we're going to pop that in. So that's 170 grams or 6 ounces. But I'll pop all the measurements up above. And there'll be a link back to my website, sumarep.com. So we're going to add 300 grams of light brown sugar. It's got a lot of sugar in this cake, so it's not something that you want to have if you're trying to be healthy. But it's not an everyday cake, it's a special occasion cake. So we're going to whip those up until they're light and fluffy. So next I'm going to crack some eggs. I've got 3 large eggs. I'm just going to crack them into this bowl. So it doesn't have any cocoa powder, it's just got melted dark chocolate. So behind me, I've melted the dark chocolate, so that's ready to go in next. So we add in the eggs and then we do the chocolate. So I'm going to add in these one at a time. So I just put one yolk in with a little bit of the white, mix it around. And it's also good to stop and scrape as you go. So we do a little song for my young viewers out there. Stop and scrape, stop and scrape. And I've just remembered this recipe calls for 240 mils of coffee, so I need to make some coffee. So I've just made my 2 coffees. I'm going to scrape in this cooled down melted chocolate. Now I don't have a microwave, so you could do the melting in a microwave. So I've used 70% chocolate, dark chocolate. So we just mix this around until it's combined, just really gently. So grab a large bowl, and we need to sift our flour. So in this container I've got 225 grams of white spelt flour, but you can swap it out and use just regular flour if that's what you prefer. And then we need to add some bicarbonate of soda. So we need 1.5 teaspoons, so that's a half a teaspoon, and 1 teaspoon, and salt. So we need just a half a teaspoon of salt, and just sift that together. So that's light and all ready to go. So next grab a glass jug or a jug that you've got. Now if you've got instant coffee, which we don't have here, you can do 2 teaspoons of instant coffee with 240 mils of boiling water. Let's measure this coffee back out. So that's 240 mils. I've got a little bit left over. That's all cleaned up, so let's move that out of the way. So into this we're going to add a teaspoon of, we've got 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Now the recipe that I was using said vanilla paste, but I don't have vanilla paste, so I'm using vanilla extract. And we've got some soured cream. So it says 225, and I've got a container of 300. So I need to grab those scales. Whoops. I'm not having a very good day today. I've just splashed sour cream everywhere. Okay, a little tip. If you're clumsy like me and you make splashes and spills all the time, have some dishwater on standby, or some warm dishwater, and then you can clean yourself up as you go, or clean up the bench. So let's pop these scales back on. I'm just going to stir that through. So now we need to combine some flour. So we'll do 1/3 of the flour and some of our liquid mix here, coffee sour cream, and mix it through. And once again, we just stop and scrape as we go. And if you think it's really strange adding coffee to a chocolate cake, well, the coffee actually enhances the chocolate flavour. So if you've noticed, I haven't used much coffee, but I've used I haven't used much chocolate, but I've used the coffee to help it along. Bumped it up to medium. Just want to make sure this batter is lovely and smooth, but we don't want to whip it too much. It's a fine line. Okay, put the balance of the flour in. Most of that. I'll leave a little bit just till the end. Do another scrape. Scrape a little bit around the beater as well. Final liquid. And we need to grab our tins because we're going to divide this evenly, but I'm going to use my scales to help me along. The good thing about these layered cakes, when you do them in small tins, they don't take long to bake. Okay, so we're going to try and divide this evenly into our 3 tins. So let's go a little bit at a time. You can just do it by eye, but I always like to be accurate. So if you're baking this at home, I got about 465 per tin. So now we're going to bake these for roughly 20 to 25 minutes. So let's pop them in. So my timer's on for 20 minutes. I'm going to go away and clean up. But stick around the kitchen and just keep an eye on them that they're all browning evenly, because you might want to rotate the cake tins around. So my chocolate cake layers are all cooked and I've had them sitting here for about 10 minutes. And I'm just going to turn them out onto, I've got some baking paper and I've got my cooling trays. But I'm just going to try and get them out of the tin and sit them upside down to totally cool. And when you sit them upside down, I'll get the paper off once they're cool. It makes them go a little bit flatter, and then we'll check them before we ice them. Whoops, that's hot, if they need leveling off. But they're still a little bit delicate when they're still hot, because it's quite a moist cake. So I'm going to go away, let them cool for probably 2 hours, and then we'll come back and we'll frost them. So we're back ready to do our frosting. I'm going to mix together 1 tub, 340 grams of Philadelphia cream cheese. So that's full fat. And then we've got 60 grams of softened butter. Just going to whip those up until they're soft and combined. And behind me, I've got some chocolate that I'm melting. So I've got 100 grams and it's just about done. I'm just going to let that cool for a little bit. So I'll get a trivet out. So the recipe that I was inspired by is from my Beatrix Bakes cookbook, and they stated to do 100 grams of dark chocolate, and I didn't have enough. So I've done 50% dark, 50% milk chocolate, and I've just melted it over the pot of simmering water, or you can do that in the microwave. But while that's cooling, let's prepare the cakes. So I've got my cakes all cooled, and I'm just going to remove this paper off the base, and hopefully I don't take too much of the cake away. With this style of cake, you can always bake the cakes the day before as well, and then they can be ready to ice nice and cold from the fridge. I think it'll be fun. What I might do, I might just trim that edge. Can I trim it? For some reason the batter went a little bit wider. And let's see if we can make it work once we've got all the icing or the frosting on. It needs to be, I'm just going to shave off a little bit of the top just to make it even. It's a really moist cake. That's probably what I should have done before. Do it that way. We've got not so quite perfect cakes. Let's crack on with this. So into that I'm going to put half a teaspoon of vanilla. And we'll get this chocolate mix in. Hopefully it's not too hot. No, it's kind of warm now, so I think it'll be fine. So let's pour that in. I wanted to do an icing, or a frosting rather, that didn't have a lot of icing sugar in it, because the friend I'm making it for is off sugar at the moment, or a lot of sugar, so I've done a more creamy, cheesy one. So let's whisk this around and for about 5 to 10 minutes. I'm going to prep my tray. I've got like a little turntable here that I'm going to frost the cakes on. I'm grabbing 2 thin strips of baking paper. So I'm going to slide that underneath my cakes and remove it once we've finished frosting them. And then on the top we're going to put some Maltesers. I'm going to put a row around the outside and then crush some in the middle. But it's still not all mixed through. Let me put my timer on for 5 minutes. What we might do is crush our Maltesers while we're waiting. So I'm going to measure half. I've got 70 grams here, so maybe 35, 28. Okay, I'm just going to roughly chop them on the board. And I think that is looking pretty good. It's pretty fluffy. So what I'm going to do, let's scrape some of this off with my paddle attachment. Not my paddle, my spatula knife. I'm going to put a little bit on the bottom so we can stick the first layer. Let's grab this one that I cut. Still quite fresh and delicate. And let's grab this. So I'm just going to grab some dollops out and just do a thin layer of this cream cheese. Now if you really wanted to, you can pop this mixture into a piping bag, but I don't really like fussing with piping bags. And let's do this next layer over here. Just so you can see what I'm doing. Make sure it's kind of even. I've got this kind of like rough, cheesecakey, chocolatey top. Now for the final decoration, we're going to do the Maltesers. So grab the whole ones and we're going to do just a circle around the outside edge close together. And I've got a 200 gram bag, so I've got more on standby if I need them. I've got a large sharing packet, so let's add a few more in. And I wasn't counting, so my apologies. It's always good to get more ingredients than what you need, because then if you run out, you've got them as a backup. And you can just eat the rest. And that little one looks too small, so I'm going to eat that. Okay. Next is we're going to add these crushed ones. And I'm just going to do that with my hands. And then you can remove this gently. And you can either serve it on your turntable or you can try and lift it up and put it onto another plate, which I don't think I'm going to attempt today. I'm just going to clean up this. So I've got some paper towel. So drum roll, I'm about to cut the cake. It's been chilling for an hour, so it's kind of, I think it's really set. So I'm going to try and cut a nice slice. Triple layer, chocolate goodness. Can I put it on the plate upright? I want to put it on the plate upright so I can show you. I think that's pretty good. Look at that. I'm not a fancy cake kind of person, but I'm going to come closer and show you. So check that out. That's my triple layer fluffy chocolate cake with a cream cheese, kind of like a cheesecake chocolate icing, and a Malteser top. That's my slice that I've just cut. That's pretty good. I really like it. It's kind of rich, not too sweet. I love the balance of the cream cheese icing and the crunchy chocolate bits on top. So hit the thumbs up if you've liked it. Share it with a friend. Try baking this at home if you've got a special occasion coming up. And don't forget, if you're new here today, consider subscribing. All you need to do is have a Google account and hit the bell. Then you get notified when I have a new video. I'm doing 3 videos a week and mostly a lot of Spelt recipes. Anyway, I'll pop a few other links up above for some of my other favorite Spelt cakes, and I'll see you next time. Bye.